Mr. Louis Ng, take your 4 cards together.
Madam, I've asked several times in this House for the government to disclose data on top emitters in Singapore. As I mentioned during the climate change motion, Singaporeans increasingly live their lives in a sustainable way. They should be given more information with which to make their consumption decisions. The UK already requires all big companies to include emission data in their annual reports, and the EU provides large amount of emission data on all facility levels across its member states. The German Institute of Economic Research found that such company-level disclosure works, reducing emission by 17% permanently. The government has shared that company-level emissions reveal confidential business performance. In this case, I propose we publish a ranking of top emitters without sharing the exact emission levels. This allows the public to make more informed consumption decisions without compromising the business confidentiality of our businesses. Will the Ministry consider this proposal? It strikes a fair balance between the trade-offs. Next, as Singapore pursues its Smart Nation initiative, we must also be smart about how we manage our e-waste. We generate more than 60,000 tonnes of e-waste annually. This astounding amount of e-waste will only increase. If not handled properly, e-waste contains small amounts of harmful substances that can threaten our health and our environment. I'm heartened to hear that the government has been building up its e-waste recycling facilities and capabilities. I've been raising this issue in Parliament since 2016, and I'm glad that MSE announced that the Extended Producer Responsibility or EPR framework for e-waste will be implemented from July this year. Can MSE share whether we are on track to meet this target? Can MSE also share its plans on how it will raise awareness on the EPR and make recycling e-waste convenient for all so that we can all do our part to make the EPR a success? Next. Last year, I shared with this House about the Zero Waste Masterplan in Nee Soon East. I talked about how we saved 39,792 disposables since the launch of our Zero Waste Masterplan in April 2019. COVID-19 unfortunately threw a spanner in the works, but we will restart the Zero Waste Masterplan once we can. I commend MSE for putting together a diverse citizens work group to tackle this issue of excessive consumption of disposables. How will MSE incorporate the recommendations from the work group, from the recently concluded citizens work group, into its plan to better manage disposables in Singapore? Will the public service take the lead by committing to end the use of all disposables at all public service events? The Ministry also announced that it would put in place a deposit refund scheme for beverage containers by 2022 as the first phase of the EPR framework for packaging waste, including plastics. Can MSE share more details on the progress on this? Lastly, food waste is one of the biggest sources of waste in Singapore. In 2019, we generated over 700,000 tonnes of food waste. I'm currently working on a private member's bill to tackle food waste and hope to introduce a Good Samaritan's food donation bill. We've completed our first round of consultations, and I'm glad to have the strong support from civil society and industry players. I'm also glad to see the government taking active steps to address food waste. MSE announced that it would introduce mandatory food waste segregation requirements for large commercial and industrial premises. Beyond segregation, it is also important for companies to be aware of the amount of food waste they dispose. Food waste represents a cost to companies. Data about food waste generated will help companies better manage their processes to reduce waste. This is both a win for sustainability and for the company's bottom lines. Will MSE consider requiring companies that have to segregate food waste for treatment to also report the amount of food waste segregated?